Quiet on the set. Okay, I think everything's set up. Today, we're going to look at snapshots on the Line 6 Helix. So let me grab my guitar and we'll get into it. All right, snapshots. I'll admit, I was skeptical at first. Coming from the perspective of the 500X, I was thinking, can't I just use presets? Do I need to learn something new? But I was reading through the manual and they bring up 3 really good points. They ask, when performing live, does a small gap when switching tones drive me nuts? And if my delay repeats and reverb trails don't seamlessly spill over when switching tones, does it drive me nuts? Because the thing is, when you change between presets, your delay and reverb trails get cut off. And most importantly, they asked, do I secretly wish I were an octopus? Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. So I can constantly change amp and effects settings throughout a song. Oh, it's just figure of speech, because an octopus has a lot of arms and could change settings. Even though snapshots are not going to help me reach my dream of becoming an octopus, I think that they do make a lot of sense and have some really good uses. Think of a snapshot as being a variation of a preset. They're not going to add or remove effects from the preset. They're simply going to change the settings of the effects within a preset, and they can even determine which effects will be on or off. Snapshots can be assigned to foot switches, and we can have up to 8 snapshots per preset. They operate similar to presets, but on a micro level. Let's take a look at a preset and see how snapshots work. Here's a preset that I want to use for a song. Let's imagine that the song needs my guitar tone to be washy and ambient at the beginning, but then clear and driving at the chorus. Here's how I'd create those 2 different guitar tones using snapshots. You may want to use a foot switch mode that gives access to snapshots. To do that, go to Preferences, Global Settings, and under Foot Switches, choose a switch mode that gives access to snapshots. It can really be whichever one you want. And you can even use the up-down switches. Just select snapshots as well. Otherwise, from the home screen, if you press the preset button, you can use the Select Snapshot knob to toggle between different snapshots, but this might not be the most useful method when you're playing live. I'm gonna make snapshot 1 my washy ambient tone, so I'm gonna make sure that I have snapshot 1 selected. I can also see that I'm in snapshot 1 by the little camera icon at the top of the screen. Any effects that you bypass in a snapshot will stay bypassed anytime you select that snapshot. I don't want to use this distortion effect in this snapshot, so I'm going to hit bypass to turn it off. I'm going to come over to my delay. I know that I want my feedback and mix parameters to be specific for this snapshot. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to push turn the knob for those settings. And you can see after I did that, that setting has brackets around it. Those brackets mean that that setting is going to be specific for that snapshot. I'll set these about where I want them. Then I'll move over to my amp model. Maybe I want the drive to be a little bit lower for this snapshot. And I want the channel volume to come up. And I want the mix on the reverb to come down a little bit. I need to make sure that I turn trails on for my reverb. So if I hit the page button and turn this knob, I can turn trails on. This is going to allow the reverb to continue to fade out even if I bypass that effect. And I can do the same thing for my delay. Page, trails on. Any settings that I want to keep the same for all the snapshots, those I can adjust just like I normally would. Here's how snapshot 1 is sounding. And if I'm happy with that, I'll move to snapshot 2. This is going to be my clear driving guitar tone. So if I come over to my delay, I'm just going to bring the feedback down. Let's bring the mix down. Over to my reverb. Bring that mix down too. I'm going to bring up the drive on my amp model. And I'm going to bring down this channel volume a little bit. Let's listen to how snapshot 1 can transition to snapshot 2. At this point, if I'm happy with my snapshots, I can go ahead and save my preset. I can give it a name if I like. And if I press the preset button, I can even rename any of the snapshots. At the beginning of this video, I had said that when you change between presets, delay and reverb trails get cut off. So let's take a look at what that would be like. So I'm just gonna save this exact preset. I'm just gonna save it to a new slot. And let's go to snapshot 1. And just for dramatic effect, I'm gonna just crank up this delay. And I'm gonna crank up the reverb. And I'll show you what happens when we change presets. Those trails are cut off. This is because when we change presets, we shut down the first preset and we load up the second preset. When we use snapshots, because snapshots live in the same preset, even if we bypass a delay or reverb pedal, their trails are allowed to continue to fade out naturally. How are we doing, guys? Is this making sense to you? Oh. You're all being great listeners as I ramble through this explanation. I promise I've been trying to keep it as concise and to the point as I can. There's just 2 more things I want to cover really quick, and then we'll be done. And, oh, you haven't even heard about the Super Snake yet, but we'll get to that in just a second. If I go into Preferences, and I go to Global Settings, and then to Preferences here, there is this Snapshot Edits mode, and I can either select Recall or Discard. And what Recall mode is going to allow me to do, any changes I make to a snapshot are going to be stored. So if I change to a different snapshot and then return, I'm going to have the same settings that I just made. Discard mode means that when I leave a snapshot, that snapshot is going to return all its settings back to its most recent saved state, no matter what changes I just made to it. This could be useful for you if you like to tweak your settings on the fly while you're playing, but you don't necessarily want to keep those settings forever. From the home screen, we can also toggle this mode by holding bypass and pressing save. If the camera in the corner is red, we're in discard mode, and if it is white, then we're in recall mode. Okay, finally, the moment that we've all been waiting for. We get to learn about the Super Snake. Now, if snapshots are new to you, you might be sitting there thinking, John, this is great and all, but you have no idea how many effects I use in each of my presets. If I were to try to consolidate all my presets into snapshots, there would be so many effects, the Helix couldn't handle them all. It would max out the DSP. Basically, you can only fit so many effects on the Helix before either you run out of effect blocks or you run out of memory to process all those effects. In reading through the manual, I discovered this really great workaround. What you can do is come over here to the end of signal path A, select the output, and change the output to path 2A. Select that. What this does is it takes the end of signal path A and it connects it to the beginning of signal path B. So you get this really long signal path. I think line 6 calls this the super serial signal path. I like to call it the Super Snake. This is really helpful because now we have twice as many effect blocks and we have twice the DSP processing power. This is because the Helix separates its DSP between both signal paths. And by connecting the signal paths, now we can leverage all the memory and processing power available to us on the Helix. Okay guys, we've made it. You've learned about snapshots, you've learned about the Super Snake, your knowledge has grown. Let me know in the comments below what you think of snapshots, whether you love them or hate them. Let me know how you use them. If you found this video useful to you, hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Until then, see ya. See ya.